Many find love blossoming from friendship, but rekindling that friendship after a breakup can be incredibly difficult. Tragically, some heartbreak leads to devastating consequences, with stories of violence and harassment targeting ex-lovers. The Tragedy Behind Broken Hearts, our upcoming series, aims to be a wake-up call, exploring these complexities and promoting empathy. The story we're about to tell is a heartbreaking one: the unsolved murder of NBA star Lorenzen Wright. 10 days after his mysterious disappearance, his body was found riddled with bullets in a wooded area, sending shockwaves across the nation. Lorenzen Wright, born in Oxford, Mississippi in 1975, later moved to Memphis, Tennessee. His father, Herb Wright, followed a similar path, playing professional basketball before joining the Memphis Police Department. Though paralyzed by a gunshot wound at the age of 7, confining him to a wheelchair for life, Herb Wright never let his disability hold him back. Instead, he became his son's first basketball coach. With outstanding height, Lorenzen Wright had a natural advantage for basketball and possessed top talent. He was a star since his high school days. At this time, Lorenzen met Shara Robinson, the daughter of his coach. In 1994, Shara became pregnant with their child later. When Lorenzen started participating in the NBA professional basketball tournament, the two welcomed their first child. Lorenzen and Shara married in 1998, and welcomed their second child in 1999. In 2001, Lorenzen joined the Memphis Grizzlies, where he would play for the next 5 years. Shara and their children relocated with him to Collierville, Tennessee, a wealthy suburb. By 2002, they had 7 children, 3 girls and 4 boys. Uncertainty struck the Lorenzen family in 2003 when their daughter tragically died of sudden infant death syndrome. This loss significantly strained their relationship, which became tense and unstable. After 13 seasons with 5 different teams, Lorenzen retired from basketball in 2009, the same year his marriage ended in divorce. In 2010, the couple divorced. Lorenzen moved to Atlanta and Shara remained in Memphis, where their children were attending school. On July 22, 2010, Lorenzen's mother, Deborah Marion, reported him missing to the police after he failed to appear at a family party and couldn't be reached. Before his disappearance, Lorenzen had flown to Tennessee that weekend to visit relatives. He typically stayed at his ex-wife's house with their children during these visits. However, when his relatives contacted him there, Shara seemed unconcerned about his whereabouts. Meanwhile, close friend Phil Dotson said he and Lorenzen spent all day together on July 18, 2010. He said he'd call me later. Phil recounted about his last meeting with Lorenzen. I left around 10 p.m., went home, and never heard from him again. Family and friends searched everywhere for Lorenzen, but to no avail. After checking Lorenzen's phone records, police discovered that his last call was to 911 in Germantown, a suburb of Memphis, on July 19. According to reports, the call captured sounds of distress and gunshots.
Hi, Germantown 911, where's your emergency? Hello? Hello? Hello?
I have nothing but gunshots.
Hello? Hello?
The call abruptly ended, leaving the dispatcher with only the sounds of gunshots. Unfortunately, they were unable to locate the source of the call. Law enforcement traced the call, but could only determine it originated from somewhere in southeast Memphis. 10 days after his disappearance, on July 28, 2010, Lorenzen's bullet-riddled body was found in a badly decomposed state in a swampy field. He was 34 years old. At the scene, investigators found shell casings from a small-caliber handgun and a revolver, suggesting multiple shooters. Notably, Lorenzen's jewelry and a large amount of cash remained untouched, casting doubt on robbery as a motive. An autopsy revealed the 34-year-old victim had been shot 5 times, twice in the head, twice in the chest, and once in the forearm. Friends reported that on July 18, 2010, Lorenzen had dinner with old friends and then went with them to watch his son play basketball. During this time, he received a series of personal text messages from his ex-wife, Shara Robinson. Lorenzen and his son returned to Shara's house around 10 p.m. that day. When Lorenzen wasn't heard from for 4 days, the family contacted the authorities. Investigators interviewed Shara. She stated that the last time she saw her ex-husband, Lorenzen, on the night of July 18, he left her house in the company of 2 armed men. Shara claimed Lorenzen was carrying money and drugs at the time. Shara claimed that he overheard Lorenzen talking on his cell phone, saying he would trade something for $110,000. Despite Shara's suggestion that Lorenzen's death stemmed from a drug deal gone wrong, investigators found no evidence of drug use or a deal. Relatives also confirmed Lorenzen never used drugs. Lorenzen's friends and relatives revealed that both he and Shara had affairs outside the marriage. The couple also faced financial difficulties after Lorenzen's retirement, likely due to their combined spending habits. In 2010, Lorenzen and Shara divorced, but their lives remained connected. As part of the divorce agreement, Lorenzen took out a $1 million life insurance policy with their 6 children as beneficiaries. Shara was appointed to manage the money on their behalf. In a swift turn of events, Shara received the $1 million life insurance payout following Lorenzen's death. But within a mere 10 months, nearly all of the money, $970,000, had been spent. Investigators sought to clarify inconsistencies in Shara's statements, but upon securing legal counsel, she declined to speak with them further. Investigators examined Shara's phone records and discovered frequent communication with Lorenzen in the weeks leading up to his murder. The messages reportedly contained suggestive content and encouraged him to visit Memphis. At the same time, Shara also contacted 2 men named Jimmy Martin and Billy Ray Turner. Jimmy, who is Shara's cousin, is currently out on bail for second-degree murder. The victim was his girlfriend, Martha Jean Bones. Meanwhile, Billy works as a gardener in Atlanta and meets Shara at church. The two have an extramarital relationship. Analyzing the cell phone records of Shara Robinson, the wife of victim Lorenzen Wright, the investigation agency found that in the weeks before her ex-husband was murdered, Shara contacted 2 men, her cousin Jimmy Martin and his lover, Billy Ray Turner. Shara exchanged a series of seemingly coded messages with Jimmy in the days before the murder. Additionally, checking data from Billy's phone, police also discovered that he was in the same area as victim Lorenzen on the night of the murder. Although the investigation agency suspects all 3 people, a lack of specific evidence deadlocks the case. The breakthrough came in 2013 when Jimmy Martin was convicted of second-degree murder in the 2007 death of his girlfriend and sentenced to 20 years in prison. Hoping for a lighter sentence, Jimmy revealed his involvement in the murder of Lorenzen Wright. He testified that his cousin Shara had hired him to kill her ex-husband and her lover Billy. The 3 then met to plan the crime. According to Jimmy's testimony, he and Billy initially went to Lorenzen's apartment in Atlanta with a handgun, planning to shoot him. However, after breaking into the house through a window, they saw someone else sleeping on the living room sofa. It wasn't Lorenzen. Realizing their plan had failed, the 2 quickly left the apartment. Shara decided to lure Lorenzen to Memphis by sending him a series of suggestive text messages. Then, she lured him to a field where Billy was waiting. Jimmy claimed he was in Mississippi the night of the murder. Shara later admitted she and Billy had carried it out. As soon as Lorenzen arrived, Billy opened fire. The victim tried to flee, jumping for the fence, but couldn't escape the hail of bullets. Shara, seeking to dispose of the evidence, asked Jimmy and Billy for help. They responded by throwing the shotgun into a Mississippi lake. Despite Jimmy's testimony, investigators lacked sufficient evidence to arrest the suspect. An initial search of the lake proved fruitless. However, several years later, FBI divers conducted another search and finally recovered the murder weapon. Jimmy, already sentenced to 20 years for killing his girlfriend, received immunity from prosecution in the Lorenzen Wright case in exchange for his testimony against Shara and Billy. On December 5, 2017, Billy Ray Turner, 46, was arrested and charged with first-degree murder in the death of Lorenzen Wright. A week later, Shara Wright was arrested near her home in Riverside, California, facing charges of first-degree murder and attempted murder. In December 2017, over 7 years after Lorenzen Wright's death, his ex-wife Shara Wright and her alleged accomplice Billy Ray Turner were arrested. While Turner faced a first-degree murder charge, Shara faced both first-degree murder and attempted murder charges. Prosecutors accused Shara of masterminding the plan to kill her ex-husband, convincing her lover and cousin, Jimmy Martin, to help carry it out. The defense attorney argued that co-defendant Jimmy's story was a fabrication and utterly unbelievable. They claimed Jimmy, not Billy, was actually at the scene the night Lorenzen was shot. However, with the evidence in Jimmy's consistent testimony regarding the details, the prosecutor believes he is telling the truth. According to Jimmy, Shara told Billy that she had been beaten by her husband. "What do you want me to do, Shara?" Billy asked his lover. Based on Jimmy's testimony and other evidence, including phone records, Shara is believed to have been present when Lorenzen was murdered. The area where Lorenzen's body was found was a familiar location where the couple once dated. This likely made Lorenzen unsuspecting. Incriminating text messages exchanged between them confirmed Shara's attempt to lure her ex-husband back there. In July 2019, Shara Wright, then 48, reached a plea deal. She was sentenced to 30 years in prison for facilitating the murder and conspiracy to commit murder in the death of her ex-husband. During Billy's trial, prosecutors accused Shara of being able to easily manipulate her lover. Cell phone records show hundreds of calls between Billy and Shara before and after Lorenzen's murder. Billy's phone records also pinpointed his location on the night of the murder. In March 2022, Billy Ray Turner, who is 51, was convicted of first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. The jury sentenced this man to life in prison. While the motive for the crime remains unclear, the prosecution alleges the killers acted out of jealousy and greed. Lorenzen's mother contradicts this, claiming Shara was solely motivated by the life insurance policy. She believes Shara murdered her ex-husband to collect the $1 million payout. Following Lorenzen's death, Shara did receive the money and quickly spent a significant portion of it. In March 2022, Shara Wright's request for a pardon was denied. She will be eligible for parole consideration next in 2027. A years-long investigation finally brought the perpetrators to light. Shara Wright, Lorenzen's ex-wife, was sentenced to 30 years in prison for her role as mastermind in the murder. Billy Ray Turner, Shara's lover, received a life sentence. The testimony of Jimmy Martin, Shara's cousin, helped solve the case, clarifying the cruel plans of the perpetrators. The real motive behind the murder remains a mystery. Prosecutors believe jealousy and greed were the main causes, while Lorenzen's mother asserted that a $1 million life insurance policy was Shara's motive. Whatever the reason, Lorenzen's death left a wake-up call about the importance of resolving conflicts peacefully. And you, what do you think about the above case? Please leave a comment below.